LinkedIn is changing like crazy. And if you don't adapt, you are probably going to waste a lot of time, effort, energy, money on working on the wrong shit. So my aim for this video is to give you what is possibly the shortest LinkedIn course ever. I'm calling it the LinkedIn Crash Course. I'm going to aim to keep it short. I'm going to aim not to draw on the board as well. So I've got a pencil instead of a marker pen because I usually end up ruining everything. Let's see if I can hold out. I've also been told as a bit of a disclaimer to point out that these, if you see me drinking these, are actually water. I am not getting pissed and presenting as much as that probably would. Actually, I've done it before. It is quite fun. Anyway, let's get into LinkedIn. I've made 7 figures on LinkedIn, all organically with no ads. I don't put out ChatGPT generated posts. Sometimes I use it to help me, don't get me wrong, but what you see from me is me. I don't send cold DMs. I've only just started testing some ads. And this is how you can do something similar without relying on all the fake shit that's actually ruining what I believe is the best social media platform. So let's get into it. 3 parts. You don't really need to worry about anything that isn't on this board, to be fair. And this is conceptual, this is timed, and this is where the real work is. All right. So conceptual stuff. Journey. Everything inside sales, marketing, client acquisition, client experience and life is centered around a journey. All right. We have this map that we have to follow if we want to get the right results. And the same is true in client acquisition, which is basically what this is about. Okay. The stages of the journey that you've probably heard are things like attract, nurture, convert, or cold, medium, hot. I call our method the CTC method. And it's exactly the same. Capture, trust, convert. So you have to be aware that inside your audience, and outside your audience, there are different levels of people. There are people who don't know you. There are people who've only just discovered you. There are people who've been hanging around for a while. And there are a very, very small percentage of those people who actually might convert. Okay. So what we want to do is make sure that we are making and creating assets for that journey, but also we're very mindful of it whenever we take an action on LinkedIn. So every action I take in terms of client acquisition will be tied back to one of these things. I'll either be trying to capture new attention and bring eyeballs in, I'll be trying to build trust with those people, or I'll be trying to convert them. Now, most of my work and most of the content you see from me will sit around this trust marker or this trust part here. A lot of people on LinkedIn just trying to go viral, and you'll see all these like fucking fake influencers where they magically go viral every post. That's because they're cheating. They're doing something. I'm pretty sure I'm onto them. I've considered doing a video about exposing them, but I don't know if it'll stand me in good stead with the LinkedIn gods. So I'm going to hold on to that one for a while. But I know what you're up to, and I fucking know who you are and all. And so does everyone else. And behind closed doors, I'm also telling people. I've just not gone public. We know who you are. We know what you're doing. We know it's fake. So if people are trying to go viral all the time, right? And a lot of people are just trying to sell all the time. They are not willing to take a step back. And as I've put the main guideline here, they're not stepping back and just being consistent and expanding the time horizons. Okay, building trust, because then the minute that you ask someone for a sale, if they have trust in you, the sale happens so easily. We literally have people turning up to calls with us, our sales calls, and we've had 2, maybe 3 in the past sort of 3 months, literally holding a wallet, a credit card, or a purse, like, I'm in. That's crazy. And that's not because we've just sold, or because we keep going viral. It's because we spent the most time building trust. So I've written down a few things that you can do for each of these stages. All right. If you want to capture new attention, you can either try and go viral, which I don't recommend. There is definitely a science to it, but it's more trouble than it's worth a lot of the time because you just bring in a load of unwanted attention too. The best way I believe you can do it is through targeted connection requests every single day. We're going to talk about that in the workflow. And then collaborating with other people. That I think is the best way for you to capture new attention. You may put commenting in there Not a big fan of commenting for the sake of commenting. I also think that's the thing that's kind of ruining the platform as well. But we'll talk about commenting too a little bit later. So you can either try and go viral. Wouldn't really recommend it. You can send targeted connection requests, or you can collab with people. Once they're in, once people know about you, now I'll give more context to these a little bit later. Once people know about you, it's your job to build authority. And you can build authority in two ways. You can build it logically, or you can build it emotionally. So logically will be the business makes sense. You know, I like what this person's saying. They sound like they're clever and they're an expert in their field. Well, the emotional side of things makes them actually like you, okay? And when you like someone, you do start to trust them more, naturally. So the way to increase being liked and the emotional connection is generally through storytelling, okay? Because people recognize stories. I think it's 22 times more than they remember facts and figures and stuff like that. So you want to have a set of stories that you can lean on. One of my old sales bosses actually used to say, when we used to cold call people, have a story for the day. Make sure that every time you ring someone, when they ask how you are, you have a mini story. Because what that does is it breaks down a few barriers and you're planting seeds that people can identify with. And they can, a lot of the time, if you're telling the right story to the right type of people, they can see themselves within it. And therefore, they start to have this almost subconscious bond or connection with you. So storytelling is super pivotal. The other thing I put in here, the other thing I put in here are some more tactical things that are working right now on LinkedIn in order to increase reach. Everyone I speak to, it has been affected by slightly lower reach on the platform. So I think there are two things you can do to almost get free reach before LinkedIn cap them and make everyone pay to play. The first is going live, promoing a live in advance. That'll be a long form 30 to 60 minute either solo episode like this it is, or a guest or a collab episode. Again, you're going to get more attention through doing the collabs. The reason that this is so powerful is because you can invite 1,000 people to each event each week. So if you promo it for 2 weeks in advance, there's a potential of 2,000 invites. Let's say a 30% show up rate might give you like 600. If you have a guest and they do the same, you could be looking at like 1,000 people going to one of your lives. The most I've ever had has been like 700 or 800, which was amazing. Got a load of leads off it, load of new attention too, but also built a hell of a lot of trust with people that already knew us. The other thing is articles. And when I say articles, I mean newsletters. When you send out a newsletter, LinkedIn basically does email marketing for you and sends it out to every single subscriber who has still got notifications turned on for newsletters. So I've got about 5,000 subscribers to my LinkedIn Secrets newsletter. I just gave it a quick title. When I post that, LinkedIn sends it out to about half of those. So just under 2,500 people get an email saying Chris has just posted this. Now, even if they don't open it, most of mine contain a video or an image. So they're going to see me, they're going to see my name. I'm not sure I like what LinkedIn do where they send the whole article pretty much in the inbox. I don't think that encourages clicks, but still, it's me getting an email. All right. And they're also ranked by Google because LinkedIn is a high authority domain. So if you write about stuff that ranks well for SEO, you're going to get traffic from Google too, which is great. Now, the final piece, there's a few more for this. If you want to convert people in the journey, one is just asking them, and that can be a one-to-one ask in the DMs, or it could be a one-to-many ask through your content. Again, I would say this makes up like 20% of my content strategy. Social proof, big one. If people can identify and see themselves as similar to someone that you've helped. DMs and polls, you can link those together. Again, polls is pretty tactical, but it allows you to DM people. And just speaking to people, again, we're going to get onto conversations, but having conversations with people. Lead magnet downloads as well, so you can push a limited supply with some scarcity or urgency attached to a lead magnet. And then making sure that you have the right links in place in your profile. So you're asking people, you're showing them that it's possible, you're actually conducting market research and starting or continuing conversations. You're giving them an automatic place to sort of qualify themselves as a lead and take them off platform, get them onto an email list, and you're making it easy if they do stumble across your profile and go onto your link. So the second thing is that profile. Now, I want to caveat this heavily. Most people spend fucking ages on their LinkedIn profile. Don't do that, all right? What you want to do is Give yourself some constraints to operate within. So I recommend setting a 30-minute timer and making it as good as you can within 30 minutes and then improving it as you go. I feel passionate about this because when I first started my business, I grew on Instagram, and I'm not joking, I screenshot for probably about 6 months all the different changes that I made to my Instagram profile, and oh my God, there are a lot of changes. Just where I'd switch an emoji out, or I'd change my profile picture, or put a bit more shadow on it, or I'd change my pinned posts or whatever. Absolute waste of time, okay? So I want to walk you through what I think are the 6 most important profile elements, but first talk about what else you don't need to worry about, okay? The reason that people always talk about having your profile optimized is because it acts almost as your website. It's almost a client attraction, disqualification, qualification machine, and it also acts as a sales page as well. The thing I love about it is the fact that people can visit it when you are not there, and if you set it up right, it can do work for you. It can build trust, it can push people in different directions, it can get them to follow you if they're not already, that kind of thing, all right? So let's break this down super quick. Your profile picture, just look like someone that can be trusted with money. That's the only thing you really need to worry about. Look like a decent human who's not in a crack den, who's smiling, who looks like they can handle a little bit of money, all right? With the banner, loads of people overcomplicate this. For me, the banner has one job, or well, 2 jobs. Either selling the follow or selling the featured section. So whatever you've got, whatever goodies you've got, or whatever the next couple of steps might be that you want people to take in this journey, all right, whether it's to further build trust or whether it's to convert in some form, that is what I recommend having on the banner, okay? You can go to Canva and get some designs pretty easily. You don't need to pay anyone to do it. Like, you could just have a black screen with white text. Maybe you want some credibility in there as well. So if you work with, like, I don't know, the BBC or Sky or Daily Mail, I'm naming some really bad companies, but whatever. Some big logos, basically. Headline. Again, most people overthink this. What I actually dislike is when people have their offer in their headline. I think you should either opt for something humorous or something different. It is very, very important that you are seen as different. Why? Because there's loads of people that do what you do. So your headline follows you around everywhere, and all your comments, all your posts, all your DMs, people can see the first like 50, 55 characters of it. So make sure that when they see that, they can associate your picture, your name, and whatever this little sentence is, has to stand you out from the crowd. That's why at the moment, at the time of recording this, I've just got mine as ex-loser. I get loads of DMs going, why did you used to be a loser? And that's the whole point, right? It's just like, I'm kind of saying I'm a winner now, but I'm also saying I have been shit at something. And that's interesting for people. And that's what we need. I help thought leaders establish brand and connect with fucking unicorns or whatever isn't exactly different to what all the other people who hang around with unicorns do or whatever, right? So next thing, you have the opportunity to have links. You can either have a button or a link, depending if, oh, voice message off Heather Murray, interesting. So you can have a profile button or a link. The most important thing is, I think, is that you drive people to some form of conversion here, either a lead magnet or a call booking or something like that. So if you have a premium profile, you can have a button and a link. The link actually follows you around on your posts as well. So you can have like visit my website or download something or join my email list or inquire about services. I just go for visit my website because it's the least threatening. So therefore it'll get the most click through. And I have actually been using a tool by a chap called Ed Lawrence, who I was in his YouTube program a while ago. It's called RevTrack. It's about 500 quid a year. We use that now to track all our links, and I can safely say the most clicked link on my LinkedIn profile is the link that follows me around on the posts. So I take people to our sales page so they can find out more about our program, C2C, and then they either book or don't in terms of a call. The about section, I'm going to be really, really honest here. Unless you're selling to corporates, doesn't fucking matter. All I do in my about section, it used to say about sections are overrated. Now all I say is visit the featured section or free stuff in my featured section, because that's the only place I want people to go. I either want them to hit the follow button or I want them to download something or book a call. That's pretty much it. All right, I don't pin any content in there. We'll talk about featured in a sec. If you're selling, if you really want to do the about thing, you don't need to pay someone to do it. Just don't write it in third person and talk about the audience. That's where I think having your promise or your one-liner or your I help statement or your offer or your message is in there, okay? Back yourself up with some credibility. Say what outcome you help the certain audience that you help get, and tell them how you do it, okay? Simple as that. The best bit, my favorite bit on LinkedIn, is the featured section. And I think there are loads of different things you can have in here, right? You can take people off platform, which is the main advantage of it. But what I think you should do is downloads, book a call, any kind of email list if you have one. Client results, I think, are super, super crucial. And the other thing will be long form. So if you have a podcast or a YouTube channel, potentially a really good idea to have them in there as well. You don't want to have loads, in my opinion, even though I have, just because I haven't sorted my featured section out. And I want to highlight this actually. One of my good friends and our head of marketing, Katie Skelton, has just updated her profile. She's not updated it in 18 months. Okay, that is how, and she's killing it. She made like 30-40 grand last month. All right, that's how important this isn't. Once you've got it set up, you will just forget about it because there is so much other stuff to do. All right, so once you've watched this video, or even now if you want to pause it, 30-minute timer in this order. Look like you can be trusted with money, drive people to the featured section, say something funny or something humorous about you or something that sets you out from the crowd. Example would be, we're working with a recruiter. I find out he's studying to be a wine connoisseur, and what's he doing? He's working 2 days a week or 2 evenings a week in a wine shop as well, just to learn. So I advise that he position himself as the wine drinking recruiter, or some words to that effect, yeah? Just because it's different. All recruiters probably drink wine because it's such a high stress job, but whatever. Let's move on to the workflow. This is where you need to focus. This is it, okay? I've narrowed it down to 4 things. So taking into account the journey that we're trying to take people on, each one of these things should line up with this. And we're using the profile as sort of the main centerpiece to attract people in and then shove them in different directions, almost. So I've ranked each of these 4 things in terms of how pivotal I think they are. I wish I'd done them in the right order, but obviously I haven't. And those 4 things are connection requests, comments, posting content, and having conversations. Now, conversations, if we're specifically talking about LinkedIn, which we are, would mean DMs. But in our program, when I say conversations, I literally mean just fucking speaking to people, whether that's on the phone, whether it's knocking on doors, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's LinkedIn DMs, whether it's Instagram, whether it's cold email, warm email, medium hot email, lukewarm email, anything. All right. So let's just give a bit more context to each of these. First, though, I want to just talk about this. The most important thing that I think you can do from a mindset point of view when you're trying to win clients on LinkedIn is, 1, to stack the odds in your favor and make sure that you can do whatever daily workflow you are going to do consistently is a big thing, but also lowering your expectations, okay? When I first started YouTube, someone said to me, YouTube's a hard slog, Chris. Are you actually prepared to work for 2 years and not even get a single call booked? And I was like, whoa. I was kind of thinking I would be getting calls booked in a month, something like that. And he was like, you might, and hopefully you do, but are you prepared? And what I really did was lower my expectations. Now, the good news is we did start getting calls booked a lot faster than 2 years. It was probably like 2-3 months. We make a sale or 2 from YouTube, so it's starting to ramp up slowly. However, what that chap did was massively help me lower my expectations, which means I like not expecting anything. Therefore, I have to go out and work for it. So if you can expand your time horizon and lower your expectations, when you do start to get things through, it's just a massive bonus, okay? So let's go through. Connections, all right? Very easy to do. I'm going to assume, if you're watching this, you have an offer and you know who you sell to and you can articulate the outcome and the pain points, all right? If you know your audience, you literally just perform a search on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, you save the URL to that search, and you connect with 20 people a day. Simple as that. And what this is doing is filling our audience up here with fresh meat, fresh blood, every single day, and it's relevant and it's targeted, all right? Now, I've rated this on the heatometer, the priometer, there. I don't know. I've promised I'm not going to edit these videos as well, so just made myself look a fool. 3 out of 4. Super important. If you're not bringing new people in, it's going to be very, very hard to sell to those people who, if they don't exist, in 3 to 6 months' time. So this is more of a long-term play. You're not going to try and sell to these new people at the top straight away. The next is comments. Everyone overcomplicates this. Comment for 15 minutes before you post and 15 minutes after. I don't do any of that shit. I just comment when I comment if I want to comment. And I don't go and comment on people's posts for the sake of it. So you won't see me piping off like Justin Welsh or whatever that English guy is that's ripping everyone off. I'm not associating Justin Welsh with the rip-off guy. The pod guy. I can't remember his name. The Podfather. So, yeah, I don't play the comment game. You can, and I think you can get a lot of traffic from it. There's a chap called Yasmin Alec, who is all about the comments, and that's pretty much his whole strategy. For me, that feels like a lot of work for what, some follows and maybe some downloads. I'd much rather just go to ideal clients so I can nurture them, and then industry giants if there are people in my industry that I want to go and steal attention from. I don't really do it though, I'll be upfront. I suggest that our clients do it because this can help with the audience growth. It can help with around here, more towards the top of funnel, but I think there are much more important things. So therefore, commenting, I've ranked on the priometer 1 out of 4. Content. Post once a day. If you can't post once a day, do 5 times a week. If you can't do 5 times, 3 times a week. If you can't do 3 times a week, just don't even bother posting content. There's probably not much point. Certainly don't need a continuous strategy anyway. I've actually only rated content 2 out of 4 because I think new eyeballs and conversations with existing eyeballs are much more important. I like to split mine into 2. So, as I mentioned before, sorry, just have a swig of my lager. Emotional and personal content and business/logical content. Split it in half. Vary the asks of what you're trying to get people to do. So we've got some examples here, particularly around this part and this part. Once you know, or once you're trying that, probably want to get like 50 to 100 posts out. Once you've got, let's say 50, look at the top 5 highest performing posts and then double down on whatever the commonality is between those 5 posts. So, and I'm not just saying like the ones with the most views or the most likes. It's like what got you the most leads or the most conversations or the most inbound DMs or the most downloads. Then you can look at what got the most impressions or leads or followers or whatever, okay? So 1 a day if possible. I'm starting to do 1 feed post a day and then topping it up with a live or an article. So I ideally want to have 2 things going out. Lives and articles, again, kind of like just a tactical thing that will help boost your visibility for now. But they're also long form. And long form is going to be absolutely key moving forward. In fact, I think that's a major point that I've kind of skipped over, is the importance of long versus short form content. When everyone is making disposable reels and shorts and TikTok videos where they're just, like, I call it swipe gnosis. You're just going through the motions, okay? It's so disposable that no one actually gives a shit. The same is starting to become true, I believe, of LinkedIn feed content. Because, 70% of it is AI? And AI written content most of the time is fucking awful. I hate it. And because I use AI quite a bit for other things, I can spot it a mile off as well. So what's the alternative? Well, the alternative first and foremost is to stay original, which you should always do. I'm not saying don't use help from AI if you want research or ideas or some help with some words or, synonyms or whatever. But just don't make that your final thing. It makes me feel sick. I've lost my train of thought because I was thinking about being sick. Anyway, long form is going to be trust because that's what really is going to set you apart. Long form written, yeah, maybe, but I'm talking about long form video, which is why I'm so hot on YouTube. There are a multitude of reasons, but it allows me to have one video asset. I can then get the transcript, and that can feed other things, and then I will also be able to get the chop the reels or chop it into reels or shorts. Okay, so I can post that everywhere, turn that into posts. You get the idea. So content, 2 out of 10. I just don't think it's important as the others. So I've saved the best till last, and the reason I say it's the best is because I believe this is one of the most effective things you can do in the early stages of business, but it's also what 95% of your competition are not doing. So I spoke at an event, an industry-specific event not so long ago. There was about 100 people who all there for one reason at this point, which was to watch my talk on how to get leads. And I asked them, put your hand up if you're starting more than 5 conversations with your ideal clients or target client base every single day. 1 person out of 100 put their hand up. Fucking 1. Can you imagine how easy it must be in that particular industry to gain cut through when 99% of people can't even be asked to do the basic stuff? Very, very easy, yeah? So, conversations. Absolutely vital, especially at the start, one-to-one. You can go one-to-many with the content as much as you want, but as we've talked about and as we're seeing, the algorithm is not just handing out reach for free anymore. You know, you've got to write some very, very good content and be very consistent with the action surrounding it in order to boost it. Alternatively, we do have those other sort of reach boosters. So one-to-many is slowly dying, all right, unless you build big audiences fast. So conversations, one-to-one are where it's at. Now, what most LinkedIn experts and all these idiots that I see online talking about DM scripts and shit like that, never pay anyone for DM scripts, by the way. They only ever talk about people who are brand new. So essentially, they always talk about sending messages out to brand new connections. As I've already said in this video, right, we don't message the new connections. Fucking hell, you can if you want, but if you've sent someone a connection request and they accept, and then you're on them straight away, what's that person actually going to think? Probably not going to like you that much. So we deprioritize the new eyeballs, and what we actually do is prioritize conversations with people that have taken certain actions. So if we know someone has responded to an ask, or if we know that someone's downloaded our lead magnet, or they're clicking our links, or they're reading our emails, or they've responded to polls, or we've already got a DM exchange going for them, going with them, we should DM those people first, right? Then like attendees of lives and anyone that's commented on articles potentially, and then we work our way up to connection requests. Now you would in here as well probably have like new followers, because that's someone following you. But if you've sent a connection to someone, a connection request, and they've accepted, you don't need to jump on them. You just make yourself look like a fucking desperate idiot. So I call this my priority pipeline. I'm not going to give you all the secrets because that's what our clients pay for. However, that, I hope, 30 minutes. I was hoping it was going to be like 10. But that is, I don't know, probably like the 3rd shortest LinkedIn course ever. Crash course. Still pretty crash if we can keep it under 30 minutes. So, quick recap. By the way, if you want to download my free LinkedIn planner that helps with the content planning, it's built in Notion. It'll save you hours because everything's templated. You can grab it from the link below this video. I'll put my LinkedIn training as well because there are 6 stages, I think. If you're under the 6-figure mark, there are 6 things that you need to implement in order to hit 6 figures. LinkedIn and also other platforms. So I'll put both links below. So quick recap before I pop off. The journey that we're taking people on. Every move that you make in your business on a client acquisition front should be tied to one of these objectives. Getting new attention, building trust with existing attention, and converting people who already trust you who fit your target market. We want to fix our profile. Can't stress this bit enough. Please fucking listen to me on this. 30 minutes, set a timer, work through them in this order. Make sure you look trustworthy. Very simple banner driving people to the featured section, a different headline, your links taking people to either book calls, download lead magnets, or being nurtured on long form, about section written in like 5 minutes, don't write it 3rd person, and the featured section is basically exactly what I said with the links. Ideal daily workflow would be to send 20 targeted connection requests every day, comment on only ideal clients and industry giants posts, post one piece of content a day, half business, half personal, 20% of the time make it convert style content, and then prioritize your pipeline from hottest to coldest, not coldest to hottest. I hope that's been helpful. I've been Chris James. I'm out of breath now and I'm about to go and get drunk on water and high on life.